Director of the Institute for Mindfulness Studies, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all at the University of Miami School of Law. It's a beautiful day outside. I know that the semester is coming to a close, and this is a good time to discuss this thing called meditation, and in particular mindfulness meditation, because as we'll explore together, it plays a role in not just the quality of your life, not just your health and general well-being, but also in your capacity to really be present, to really be focused, to really be attentive to the work at hand, to your studies, to your interactions with your classmates, your professors, and ultimately in many ways to your performance. So today we will, in this another in the seminar series, ask not what your brain can do for you, but what you can do for your brain. We'll see how meditation is another of the methods or vehicles that we intentionally employ to very much change the structure and function of our brain. And that's why it's so exciting. The ways that we might expect or come to find that we change, that we're able to accomplish more of that which we wish to accomplish with this thing called meditation. In previous seminars we discussed how exercise can play a role in the changing of the brain, how sleep and napping can have a very consequential and meaningful effect on performance, on health, and in the ways that it too can work on refreshing, rejuvenating, and even rewiring your brain. And today we'll do it in this really interesting area called mindfulness meditation, although we'll explore contemplative practices a little bit more generally. Because we're doing this work in the context of the law, we're going to talk about making our case. That is, today we'll explore 3 different meditations. And these 3 different meditations will, as you see, move from using the acronym CASE, C-A-S-E, concentrated awareness. That's where we're focusing our attention on, in this case, the breath. Concentrated attention. And then from there we have a sensory expansion, if you will. We expand awareness outward, engaging the senses. Sensory expansion, S-E. C-A, concentrated awareness. S-E, sensory expansion. Now it's my intention and hope to be able to weave together, in this time that we have together, a little bit of the science, so that you have an appreciation for why it is that some of these practices can bring about changes in the structure and function of our brain, as well as practice, exercises, so that this isn't just an intellectual conversation or more information. Goodness knows you have enough information that you're grappling with, working with, integrating, but just enough information so that it means something to this inquiring, inquisitive, right? Sometimes skeptical, unfamiliar mind that might perhaps play a little role in facilitating or encouraging or incentivizing you to take a few moments here and there, because that's really all that it asks of you. A few moments here and there to experience the moment of your life, a little differently than maybe your habit or conditioning up until this point in time. Now ultimately, let me share with you, there's nothing I'm going to tell you that you don't already know. I think that's important. If I say something that just doesn't ring true, or in your experience trying an exercise, for example, it just doesn't feel right, then it may very well not be for you. And so ultimately, you're the arbiter of how to incorporate one or more of the methods, exercises, practices that we discussed today into your life. And I encourage you to perhaps at this moment consider, why are you here? Why are you listening to this? And if it's because you're interested in possibly doing something differently, then check in with your intention. What is your intention? let's lower our eyes, close our eyes, and just take a moment and consider, what is my intention with this material? Because ultimately, if we're going to take something that we learn and we're going to apply it, it begins with an intent to do so. A lot of times you can learn information about this or that that's scientifically valid and has helped many people or makes a big difference here or there, and you walk out and go right back to as if it never really, maybe it just planted a seed that one day later on will blossom, and that's wonderful. But here we'd like it to blossom when you walk out of this room. So first, because we're doing this in the context of the law, let me say a couple of things about how we'll explore this thing called meditation. Ask not what your brain can do for you, ask what you can do for your brain. Let's take a moment and have a sense of this brain of ours, and we'll do so using the model of our hand. And as you'll see, we'll return to this model of the hand a couple of different times this morning as a way of both understanding, remembering, and then even applying some of the things we learn. And so we'll use the hand as a model for the brain. And so if you will take your thumb and place your thumb across the palm, and the thumb represents a part of the brain in the limbic center, the emotional center of the brain, called the amygdala. These four fingers, let's wrap them over, and this is the prefrontal cortex. This is this part of the brain, the part that distinguishes us from many of the other animals on this planet in terms of the intellectual capabilities that we have for higher level functioning, planning, deliberating, executing, etc. And here we have the brainstem, responsible for regulating breathing and heart rate and for keeping us going. And here, as you might imagine, we have the spinal cord that takes and shoots signals into the body and then from the body back up to the brain. And so this model, which Dan Siegel, a wonderful neurobiologist over at UCLA, uses in his work, and I believe came up with, reminds us that we have this thinking part, if you will, higher level thinking part of the brain, the cortex, that really rests on top of this amygdala, this emotional center to the brain, which is not that far from the brainstem, regulating heartbeat, breathing. It can pick that up, it can calm that down, as we'll talk about in a few moments, and that they're all, as you might notice, very much connected. And then, of course, we have the spinal column taking all of this information, or much of this, back and forth between the body proper and the brain itself.